Want to know who the best is? That's him, Iceman.
Hello there, Chris here, and I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to build a model. And, well, it is a modelling channel, isn't it? But I did promise that I was going to do deliberate practice, you know, my series about how to really get into painting and weathering and do it a deliberate way. And I said I was going to start at the end of February. Here we are, it's the 1st, 2nd of March. But I got enticed to build a model. And I'm going to build a model. I've been dying to build an aircraft model for a while. I've been building a big bloody Sherman tank, and I need to do something. So Justin Lentz is doing a March Madness 30-day build. So I'm going to put this beautiful kit, this modern, fantastic, perfectly fitting kit, Revell's F-14A Tomcat in 132 scale. And what I'm going to do as an experiment, watch it if you like, watch it if you don't want it, I don't care. Well, I do care. I'd like you to watch it. It's every day, or probably every other day throughout March while I'm building this. I'm going to put a video up. It's only going to be a short one. It won't be a short, so I don't like those. It'll be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 minutes if you're lucky. Yeah, just showing the updates, just because I'm going to have to get into this. Every day I'm going to have to do stuff. So I'm already on the bench over there. I'm already gluing things together, and I've already done the in-flight model modification, the whole lot. So that's what I'm going to do this month. And hopefully I'll get to the other stuff done as well. But that's why you're going to see a lot of videos. If you want to see all of them, you've got to press that notification symbol to say, hey, Chris has uploaded another video. And like I said, it's going to be a few of these, at least 10, 12, 15, I don't know how many videos are going to be. I've already made probably enough for two short videos. So without further ado, let's get into this. Oh, and if you're wondering what I'm going to do, yes, it's going to be Top Gun. No, it's not going to be Maverick. It's going to be the other guy. I'm going to do Iceman, because not many people do Iceman, but I think he had the more interesting looking aircraft, a lot of mismatched panels and weathering and so forth. And I'm not going to do it out of the box, even though, well, that makes sense. You only got 30 days to put together a really complex old kit, which apparently doesn't fit well together, and doesn't have a single bloody rivet on the entire model. So I'm going to add some rivets. But what I'm going to do is, I've already started my Tamiya 132 scale Tomcat. Now that's a longer term project because it actually requires a lot of rescribing and some riveting and upping the details, particularly in the cockpit, which is very bland, there's almost nothing there. So what I've done is I've got all these resin upgrades for the Tamiya, but I've got all these pretty good ones from the plastic parts of Tamiya, the nozzles, the cockpit pieces, the cowlings, that sort of stuff, the weapons and the fuel tanks, all those sort of things. So I'm going to downgrade the Tomcat, the Tamiya stuff, to the Revell stuff. It's a lot better than the Revell. And so we'll get a bit of a kit bash of the two. So if you really want to watch that, come along for the ride. It's going to be a fun March, and let's hope I can get to the end of it. Oh, put it in camera, Chris. There you go. Cheers. Happy modelling. Let's get into it. First thing I did after taking all the parts that were not bundling around off the runners, the sprues, and to fix up some pretty big attachment points on those sprues, was just to go over all the parts and have a look for any, notorious signs of sink marks. And you can probably see already where I'll fix them. So sink marks usually happen in poor quality molding where there's a lot of male plugs, like for example here, down in these little bits there. Okay, and Revell haven't changed in quality in I don't know how many years, because the new Revell Razor Crest has got the same problem. So what I did is I went over and I used some black super glue and I filled them in where they're quite prominent on the sides there as well, and then on the bottom the same applied. I've got similar, these large rotation points there, and also there's these 4 holes that don't really exist. It's for the Phoenix pallets, which I'm not fitting on this, so I just needed to fill them in. But the next thing that had to be done after doing the sinkholes was to check it all over and have a look. And I used the Tamiya 148 as the templates. There's the Tamiya pieces up and down, and so I had to check for well, first, there was not a single rivet on the entire kit. There's no rivets whatsoever. There's panel lines, and the panel lines are a bit, if I was making this 100% build, I would probably fill most of the panel lines and rescribe them. There are a few that aren't too bad, but some of them are like Airfix. They're trenches. I mean, some of the ones here in these intake ramps on the inside there, they're quite bad. So what I did was, first of all, went around and realized, oh my god, I've got to add rivets to this thing because it will really stand out, particularly on the upper side. Whoops, excuse my French. and around a lot of these access panels and so forth. I'll see if I can, well, I'll zoom in a minute and I'll explain. But the major thing that was missing, apart from the rivets, were there were no wing swept bags. These bags that go there, okay? There was an indentation and it's very nicely molded, but there's no panel line. So I had to be very careful, and well, there was a panel line that shouldn't have been there, so I've filled both of those there, as you can see, again with black super glue, and then I've rescribed in by measuring off the plans and off the Tamiya kit where I think the bag should be, and I started riveting. And I'm using a combination of this U-Star handheld riveter and where is it? The Rosie the riveter tool for some of the larger ones. And it took me about 4 hours, I think, all up, maybe a bit more, but I basically added rivets to everything. Let's zoom in and have a look. So you can see I've had to add rivets to quite a lot of the panel lines, and I've rescribed quite a few of these just to make them a little bit deeper, a bit more crisp. Most of it I've done by hand. See if I can just show you around there. But what I've also done was add some extra panel lines. So here on the shoulder here didn't exist, they didn't have them, so I fixed them around some of these vents. I've added panel lines, but the main ones were, if we go back down here, is the waist. So there's the bag for the wing sweep with the added rivets all the way down, and then there were quite a few panel lines missing here, and particularly around where the tails go, the stabilators go. So that was fun, to say the least. And here on the bottom you can see I've had to add quite a few rivets. Now what I haven't done is I haven't filmed it before I added the rivets, so let me just bring out this. So that's the nose pieces, well, the nose, it's missing the forward fuselage. Okay, so hopefully you can see in that light I've added rivets where appropriate to all those panels, and I made a boo-boo there, so I've added some filler. I should have added them there. And yeah, all the way over there you can see the panel lines are a little bit chunky, a little bit big. That's okay, but let's compare it to what you had beforehand, and nothing. Just panel lines. A little bit of sink marks going on in there, but I think I should be able to fill those okay without having too much of a drama. And as you can see, I've cut away a bit of the combing of the cockpit. I'll explain the cockpit in a separate piece. So what I need to do now is rivet this, but I also have to rivet. Well, I don't have to. This is the fun of it. Got to fix it. So we got the intakes. Again, they had the holes there for the original fuel tank, which is not really well shaped and really dodgy, because what I'm using instead are the Tamiya fuel tanks. Okay, much better detail. I've actually upgraded these on the Tamiya one to resin ones. And yeah, so there's some other pieces that just need to be fixed. The fit hasn't been too bad once you clean up all the flash and all the other rubbish that's there. But I just need to do a little bit of rescribing, a little bit of fill, particularly on the trailing edges. They all seem to have a gap there, but the fit around everything else is pretty good. A few rivets need to be added, oops, there we are, to the tail of that. And then on the stabilators, moving all the elevators I should say, fits really good. Quite a few scratches there though, because these parts just rattle around in the box. And yeah, I need to add, there's quite a bit of rivet detail around the hinge itself. And the pylons, the wing pylons for the Phoenix and Sidewinders. Fit is okay, but I had to use putty because there's just gaps. Okay, and what I'm also going to be doing is converting these. I just need to fix these the Sidewinder rails. I've got quite big sink marks in there, so I just need to fill them in. But before I do that, or after I do that, I'm going to magnetize the missiles, because again I'm using Tamiya. So these are the leftover Tamiya Sidewinders and Sparrows. So I'm just going to have the 4 missiles on those wings there. No Phoenix pellets. A couple of sink marks had to be filled, but these are, I mean, they're okay, but they're much better quality than the Revell ones. So I'm just upgrading by using out of the box stuff from the Tamiya kit. But I will magnetize them because it's a lot easier to paint them and weather them separately. So what else have I got to show you? Yes, a few more sink marks from external pieces. So these are the ventral strakes. So you can see there's quite a few sink marks there because of, you know, the way they molded that little thing there, which goes on the bottom like so. Okay, so the fit on that is actually not too bad. Okay.